What time did it say?
Only 10 hours?
No, lots more. It's just that since one of them is don't go past 10 innings. Thank you for joining in.
Oh, that's fine. Originally it's gone.
No.
Half the law's gone. Oh, yeah. That's why the contract is there too.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been to that.
I did it over.
Do you? I'm thinking,
So she can.
what do you do?
But she's good.
Great, thank you. Thanks.
That's what we do. We do roles and jurisdictions.
So,
Who's there?
You will stop covering. Yes, so if you stand up in the vicinity, yes, you will stand up front of the picture.
Oh, so just stay.
You could actually.
Okay. Okay, I see. Yeah, I think you probably want to.
Okay, there we go.
No, I understand. I said you said the signs. They moved you out.
who else? I mean, especially for
It's different things, different resolution requirements.
You are rolling.
Okay. Oh, is it 4 o'clock?
No, but it's
I have like 5
15
minutes.
minutes ahead.
Okay.
we're working so hard.
Oh, so I'm like harder.
But
I will say that in like 2 minutes from now.
Okay, all right.
so you're and then but we really think about this is super big, exponentially harder. And books. Okay, which one of us is supposed to be consulted about this? Is it true? It's exponentially harder.
I just teach charts and so run people say,
Start where I did.
Charts is so much fun.
I don't know.
Charts I'm getting rich. But it's improved.
Well, this last Thursday, yesterday, was the third. For executive. And like just started called her versus.
Oh, yeah. He's just the association.
Right, the international.
Association.
Right,
Yeah, so I used that in England. It was awesome.
Last time.
We're getting it, it's so loud, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, but it's so fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a lot, I was watching, it's just about the only one.
Yes?
You like your Twitter good, just be like.
Oh, shit, that's.
Well, you like to talk about it.
Yeah.
What's that?
Use Classcaster for your living.
Yeah.
I was like,
No, just for some blogs and stuff. Yeah, and actually I'm gonna mention something about that. And now is, thank you. Something I downloaded on your website and I don't know what.
Do you want me to log into this computer? Do you have like a flash?
Yeah.
Gloria to David.
You guys can use it in the second.
Oh, I'm just doing it from there?
Gloria to David. Good, Gloria.
Okay, and then yeah, if that's okay, do you need to change everything now? Okay. No, it doesn't even. Yeah, it doesn't even need to be here. This computer doesn't even need to be here.
Yeah, I think that's where it's from.
Have to remember, that's not a new Mac.
That's being silly.
Okay.
We just bought something else, like the iPad or something like that, and it came with stickers. So we're like, oh, it was always funny watching people be like, yeah, Mac didn't really design something that's quite on this level. It's kind of cheap. It serves the need. I don't mind the iPad, but it's a little harder to multitask and have everything open at once. That's something that's actually running all the programs that I need.
I haven't been able to, because I have an iMac and a MacBook Pro.
Yeah, exactly. Once you're used to the full features,
Yeah, and then
so you really want something that's so limited. I
and the
understand.
programs that I use, the iPad can't handle that. So
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather be able to create content, and it's intended to be a consumption device. You can just read things or look at things.
Right.
And I want to be able to do things, not
Exactly.
just look at stuff.
Exactly. And they have like limited editors and music programs like GarageBand and stuff, but you can't do too much with that.
They're kind of fun because they'll put like versions that, like you can play the keyboard and stuff like that. Like drums and punching. It seems like it's really exciting for like kids to play.
Yeah,
You have to
to
be
any kind of serious.
really into it to do anything. You kind of like really not skill set. You could just go get an instrument.
Right. I know we're gonna have to get in these rooms and test the new operating system out. Mac upgraded operating system to 10.8. Well, they're going to 10.9 now, but
Yeah, the
they're
Maverick.
yeah, but they're at 10.8, and it changed the whole preference, like for the extended monitor, it changed the preference. So now, like I know when we were at 10.6, we could just plug in a Mac and it'll automatically sync to the projector, but now it doesn't. So we have
Always new challenges. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the new operating system because it's supposed to work better with multiple monitors, and we have an iMac. Debbie and I each got iMacs upstairs, but we're used to working in the dual monitor thing, so we plugged another, just the Dell one in next to it, but it just doesn't. That's the one thing that Windows is a lot better at. If I start doing stuff like
so your
this, I
iMac
can
does
resize
have
it.
10.8,
I'm not sure which version exactly.
but it doesn't work with dual monitors.
It works. It just doesn't have all the features that like Windows. You can sit here with a key and like move stuff around. It's just like everything side by side, which is why I like it.
Well, what I noticed that
Okay,
yes.
it's 4 o'clock, so we're gonna go ahead and, oh, that's really loud, isn't it? We're gonna go ahead and start the sessions. I'm Sue Altmeyer, I'm from Cleveland Marshall College of Law. Our topic for today is Classcaster in Theory, which is gonna be presented by Elmer Masters from Cali. And I'm gonna talk about Classcaster in practice, which means more the content and the actual using of it. Just a show of hands here, how many people are IT people? A few. How many people are law faculty? Yes, some, and law librarians, and I know you could fall in both categories, some of you. Okay, so we kind of have a good mix going on. Mostly it seems faculty and librarians. So what I'm going to talk about today is we basically use Classcaster for blogs of where I work. In the past, we did use it for podcasting. Some of our faculty used it to put, recordings of their classes on, but people have kind of gotten away from that now, and they kind of use the website for that. So what I'm going to talk about is our blog content. Basically, we have 3 different blogs that we're. First of all, does everybody know what Classcaster is? Am I just talking about something people don't know what it even is? Does anybody not know what Classcaster is? Or yes, kind of, okay. Basically, it's a WordPress platform that you can use, that Elmer runs it. It's not that commercial WordPress.com, it's off of Cali's servers, and you can use it basically for whatever law school purpose you want. Is that a good enough definition of it, Elmer?
Yep.
Okay. So that's what we're talking about, and basically we use it for some different types of blog content at our school. We have our standard law library blog, CM Law Library blog. I'm not going to talk too much about that one because everybody's pretty familiar with law library blogs and the content of those. I will if anybody has any specific questions, or we can talk about that one later. The one that I just started up recently is called Ohio Constitution News. And the idea of this is to present different happenings about the Ohio Constitution, whether it be Ohio Supreme Court cases that make decisions on the Ohio Constitution, whether it's ballot initiatives and the various steps that those ballot initiatives go through, have they passed various hurdles, stuff like that. So I'll talk about that one kind of more in depth. The last one that we have really didn't seem to take off, and as I think they made our current website, more mobile friendly. There was really, I don't think, too much of a need for it, but we made sort of a little web app using this, and I had some help from Emily Barney, who is here today. Yay, Emily, on making this mobile app on Classcaster. So, we'll talk about that a little bit later too. Ohio Constitution News. How did this thing come about? Well, it came about because I was doing this Ohio Constitution Law and History website with one of our faculty, Steve Steinglass, who teaches Ohio Constitutional Law. This is a growing repository of historical versions of the Ohio Constitution, various tables that list all the proposed revisions to the Ohio Constitution, what were the votes, things like that, all sorts of information. We track Supreme Court decisions on here, Ohio Supreme Court decisions, kind of making an archive of them. Not a full text archive, but an archive that links to the Ohio Supreme Court's website. So in a way, if you were just at the free access lecture, it's kind of that, and I do actually, if I come across an older article or something that's copyright free that's not anywhere on the web, we will, just scan those in and kind of upload those to the site. So that's that little project, and born of that was the Ohio Constitution News blog, because I started putting on the homepage of this all these developments that are happening with the Ohio Constitution. And so I would just kind of get rid of the developments as they kind of got older, and I thought, well, hey, why not save this content in a blog format? And it kind of lends itself to that, and also, of course, people can receive the content then via email or RSS reader, so it makes it easier for people to follow it. Okay. Just in general, I guess the idea of this talk is to encourage everybody out there, because you don't have enough projects to do already, is to create your own state constitution blog for your own state. And actually, it's not a very time-consuming project. As we get into it, you'll see it. It's something that really lends itself to the blog format, something that's really easy to gather information on, easy to put up there. So it's a good project to do, I think. And also, state constitutions are of ever-increasing importance. They're really not, in my opinion, emphasized enough in law school. If a lawyer goes out, they're arguing their case, instead of just having one argument based on the federal constitution, they can have two arguments, one based on the federal constitution, one based on the state constitution. So, you'd of course rather have two arguments than one. Another idea behind the increasing importance of state constitutions is that a lot of state statutes can be stricken down by state constitutions. And it's things that we're all familiar with that have happened that you probably don't think that these are even related to a state constitution, but they are. For example, these people, look at them, they're all happy, their state just passed tort reform legislation, but unfortunately for them, their state Supreme Court held it unconstitutional, possibly under the open courts provision or something like that. This is something that happened in many, many states across the country. Usually at the late 90s, 2000s was about when that was happening. Okay, another situation where the state Supreme Court struck down a statute struck down school funding really as unconstitutional is what's happening here. So there were a lot of cases, and still are, because state constitutions, many of them grant you the right to a free public education. So they held these funding schemes unconstitutional, and that's just another way the state constitutions impact us. So, and another way it definitely impacts us in our everyday lives is something called direct democracy. State constitutions provide us with a way to really become involved in proposing statutes, referendums, repealing statutes, as well as proposing changes to the Constitution itself. And these, it started, or these sort of picked up steam. This was 1978 when they had the tax revolt in California. The middle-aged among us might remember that, I certainly do. And it was a big deal at the time, and people realized, hey, we can take matters into our own hands. We can amend our own constitution and get rid of these taxes we think are unfair. I have this little cartoon here just to make it a nonpartisan lecture, somebody disagreeing with what's happening there with the tax revolt. But anyway, that had a huge impact, and then, ever since that time, the late 70s, these ballot initiatives got more and more popular. Okay, so like today, we have our, there's many ballot initiatives now about same-sex marriage, whether it being these amendments to the state constitution defining marriages between a man and a woman, or allowing marriage for same-sex couples, either or. There's been many amendments on the ballot to legalize marijuana, or medical marijuana. And in the past, there's been a lot of interesting amendments too, kind of ties in with your medical marijuana idea of marijuana prohibition. And there's been a lot of interesting historical amendments to the Constitution, and even before federal prohibition, various states were trying to make themselves dry. So you can put stuff like this on your blog as well if you want to, fun historical things. And as you can see, there's many pictures out there too pertaining to history type stuff like this. All right, so basically what's going to be the content of your state constitutional blog, if you so choose to make one, is you have your ballot initiatives to amend the Constitution, state Supreme Court cases, and this is, it might be somewhat unique to Ohio, but it's something that may be going on in other states as well. In Ohio, every 20 years the voters have to decide whether they want to have a constitutional convention or not. Usually it gets voted down. And in 2012 it was no exception. They voted it down, but the legislature decided, okay, we're going to create this commission of people that hopefully know what they're doing, and they're going to suggest changes to the Ohio Constitution. So there's this body of people right now in Ohio that's trying to come up with these proposed changes. And they have their own website and their own goings on, and so that's even more stuff I could put on the blog. So, and I mentioned historical fun before, just various things in the past that have happened that might make little interesting blog stories. What I use for my sources to pull into this blog, I use the Secretary of State's website for votes on initiative petitions. In other states, it might be the State Board of Elections. I mean, you just need to find out what type of state entity has the information that you want. In Ohio, initiative petitions start out at the Attorney General's, so I take a look at their site. And some of these government sites, they will have RSS feeds or email alerts or something that make my life easier. If they don't, then you have to use a service such as Watch That Page, which will track changes in the website and send you emails. And of course, I use the state Supreme Court's website, both their RSS feeds, and then I track their oral arguments and see if there's anything good with some good Ohio constitutional issues, good cases. Okay, and here I just actually have screenshots of the Secretary of State's page, ballot initiative. They have a big chart at the Attorney General's, your oral argument previews. And I don't put every case on the blog or on the website. It's just cases that really deal, a lot with an Ohio constitutional issue or deal with it in an important way. So I don't put on every single case that mentions Ohio Constitution somehow, because that would, I don't know, there'd be no point to that. Other sources that I use, news alerts. These things are, as we saw before from the pictures, these are very important issues to people, same-sex marriage and marijuana and whatnot. And so these things are usually always in the news, sometimes not always in one particular newspaper, but, scattered in all different newspapers, across the state, or they'll come out with the article at different times or something. So that's pretty much why I, opt for, instead of like just a Google alert or something like that, which I guess would be okay. I really find Bloomberg, which our school gets for free. I mean, you know what I'm talking about if you have Bloomberg. But I really like their news alerts, and it's really helpful for me doing this blog. I mentioned the Ohio Constitutional Modernization Commission. I get information from them. And also I do use, Lexis and Westlaw alerts kind of as a backup to everything else, just to make sure I hit on all the cases and everything that are important. There's their website, Ohio Constitutional Modernization Commission. So here I put together a little list if you want to start a blog or maybe give it as a project to students in a class to start a state constitutional law blog. There is the Council of State Governments Book of the States. This is actually something that you can get for free on the web. And they have this every year, and they show you, there's chapters, and these things have huge outlines, and they show you the procedures in each state for, what has to happen for a ballot initiative, where they have to file it, how many signatures you have to get, blah, 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 what are all the steps. And then all those steps are little events that you can put on the blog after, that particular initiative petition has passed that hurdle. Okay. Oh, and also on this website, they also have this state constitutional developments for the year, and they'll summarize that. What are the different initiative petitions all across the country in all the different states. So it's really a pretty useful resource. So what else? There's Legal Reference Services Quarterly. They have a whole bunch of articles in there for different states about researching initiatives and referenda. And there's also these books here that look like this. You probably have a whole ton of them in your library. They cover 42 states, and they have all kind of information about state constitutional law. Okay, so there's that. We've seen all that. The National Council of State Legislatures, that's another good site. They have pages summarizing all the important issues, such as same-sex marriage, medical marijuana, what have you. Unions, whatever is going on people's ballots. And lastly, there's Ballotpedia. Ballotpedia is okay. You have to use some caution with that, like any Wikipedia. Okay, so there's this is the the national. What is this one? National Council of State Legislature site, and you could see, they have a map here, and they'll tell you what's going on in every state concerning, whatever issue, whatever ballot issue. Here's Ballotpedia. Okay, so example for Illinois. And they'll tell you what can people in Illinois vote on. Do they have initiative and referendum powers in that particular state? And then if I click on state ballot measures, and then I could go over here and see that this is, I think, the most recent one you guys had on the ballot here. It's about changing pension benefits, and it lost. So it's usually pretty good information, but like anything, Wikipedia or, like that, you just have to be careful because anybody can go in and edit this thing. So, all right. That was basically the part that I'm going to talk about, the content of that. I don't know if there's any questions or comments or anything about that. And then I was going to talk a little bit about the features that I like on Kali Classcaster and things I use. And then I think Elmer's going to take it over from there. But so I'll just move on to that. In Classcaster, there's a couple ways you could do analytics. You can use Google Analytics. If you went to that talk that was yesterday, you saw all the different ways you can use Google Analytics. It's real easy to hook your blog up into Google Analytics, and you could see, what area of the country people are from that are using your blog, what's popular, all that other stuff. There's also Oh, and I just have this is what the back end looks like, your dashboard. I mean, basically it looks like WordPress. And you just go to settings and then you can just, very easily hook up your Google Analytics from there. Another thing that they have is an Easy Stats plugin. What that does is it tells you your page, just really easily, this is where you go in and like you can edit your various posts and you can easily see how many page views that you got for each post, which is handy, and then you could figure out, what kind of content do people like, blah, blah. Okay. As far as promoting a blog, it's pretty easy to hook up to Facebook and Twitter, which I haven't done yet, to be honest, for the state constitutional one. We did that for our law library blog. In fact, I'm having a problem with it, which I'll need Delmer to help me for it, but I was nicely waiting until after Callie to ask him for help.
Twitter, right?
Both of them, actually, yeah, so I'll have to ask him about that. So that's one of the pluses, and I bring that up really to bring out one of the pluses of Classcaster, is that you have Elmer to help you with any problem that you're having. Okay. All right, so of course you could put your blog feed on your library homepage. If you're using bPress, there's that little sidebar. You could, shoot your feed of like your latest 5 posts or something into that. I used to send emails to the faculty and students with like the most recent post or something, but I think they got annoyed with me, so I stopped doing it. And even though
I miss them.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll start up. See, because I didn't think I did it that often. I did it maybe like, it got down to like once a month maybe.
I know, but it made me go and look.
Okay, well, maybe I'll start it up
There's a
again.
MailChimp, I think I have a MailChimp plugin now too. You can probably set up like a list and they can opt in if they want.
Ooh, that would be very cool. Okay, yeah, that's something definitely I'm gonna try out.
Now you have to make a new slide.
Uh-oh, sorry. And of course, we mentioned these things at orientation to the first years, so they know, we have a law library blog. There's some hints on there about researching and study aids and all that good stuff. So it's another way to promote your blog. Other plugins I use that I could get off the Classcaster platform. Video, that just means you can embed videos, which is of course very cool. The little share buttons, those come out on every post, which I think are cool. That's, you just click the plugin and wham, there they are. Chat, I did try to use the chat function on this thing at one time, but it works fine, but I just wasn't getting anybody good chatting with me. It was like say people with crazy questions, and it's not really what I wanted to do. So, yeah, well, there's a chat feature. Copyright-free pictures. I mean, most people I think just go to Google Advanced Search, but I just put up a few other places that are good, I think, for getting pictures. Yeah.
Flickr Commons is also amazing. It's all public domain images from major institutions all around the world. So there's a lot of historical documents in there as well, and people have helped tag it, so you can find things with really weird search terms there. But you can also use a lot of Creative Commons images from Flickr. If you add that in your advanced search, you just need to make sure that you add, a link back to the person who did it.
That's what I mostly do, to be honest, yeah.
And also along this, there's a website called Compfight, COMPFIGHT, and it's just an overlay that searches Flickr Creative Commons images, and you can limit to ones for commercial purposes only, or ones that you can, the various Creative Commons licenses, because some you can't modify, some you can't. So they have those edits in there.
And it also, it gives you the embed with the citation.
Yeah, and also Callie, of course, all those cartoons we put in our lessons, we have on our Flickr account, all Creative Commons licensed, so feel free to use those.
Okay. Anybody else use anything like picture-wise, non-copyrighted picture-wise that? Okay, but that's all great suggestions. Because it always helps to put pictures on there. I know currently on the Ohio Constitution blog, I don't really have any besides the nice Ohio farmhouse, but maybe I'll start adding some things in. And back to the web app. I mean, I guess if anybody's interested, at one time I wrote instructions on how we did that. Here it is. And maybe you could use this for some other purpose, because this is, I mean, it really makes a nice, small, mobile site is basically what it does. And it really, as I recall, all it was making different pages, because on WordPress you could make a bunch of different pages, and then using a plugin to make it this, mobile-friendly thing. And that's basically really all you do. So somebody that doesn't have, a coding background or has no idea how to do any of that, such as myself, can just use this and make some kind of mobile app. So,
And that's on the Classcaster
Yep.
website, there's an app there?
Yeah, well, you can build, it comes out looking like an app. You still go to the website, so they've got like a specific address. When you go there, it looks like a web. Actually, by default right now, there are,
should I go?
yeah, why don't you go, well,
Okay. Yeah, I can.
yeah, you can go there. One of the things that happens right now, we actually have there's a plugin that's on by default on all the blogs that get created that sort of sets all that stuff up automatically now. And then the newest versions of WordPress actually sort of expanded that. What Sue did was sort of customize the basic templates that were there to create something that was, really custom to her school. And she mentioned directions. I think I've lost them twice.
I probably could dig them up and send them to you.
I know, but it's actually pretty straightforward to do, and so it's. But if you're looking for, go to blogs and then do the search, because the search is a little funky. It's on the list of things.
Oh, and should I just pull up this one?
Yeah, there you go. You can just click right there.
Okay. And then where's my, ooh, I've never edited from here before.
Up in the upper, go all the way up to the top, and you can get back to your dashboard. If that's what you're doing.
Here we go. Okay, dashboard. Okay. Yeah, I mean, basically it was just setting up this blog and then turning on one of these plugins that I forget.
You
just kind
can
of
limit it to just the
was.
active ones. If you go up to the top, there's a tab. Click on active right there under plugins. There's little tiny links.
Oh, okay.
No, above that.
Exactly.
Straight up.
Active?
Right there. Click on that link that says active. No, down. Right there.
Okay.
And then you'll see what's turned on.
Just active one. Okay. Oh, very good.
I think it's actually
Well, it's
the
not
theme.
big.
The theme, because the thing with
Oh,
WordPress.
this is the theme,
Yeah.
okay. It's just picking the theme then and making it a mobile
Right, and making
theme.
it, right, and making
Which
it-
I think there's a couple different themes that you
There are a
can
couple
pick
of
that'll
them,
make
so-
it mobile. Okay,
Yes.
They're more responsive designs, so
I got
they
it.
fit in a smaller screen,
Sure.
honestly.
okay. So,
So it's really WordPress.
Yes.
it's really, yeah, it's basically just WordPress, and then like these different things are, like a different page for library hours or whatever. I mean, you could make this for whatever purpose that you wanted to use it for. Other ideas that I thought of possibly doing is possibly for students, if they're taking a law clinic, they could make a blog similar to a law firm blog. They could write articles about, whatever, something that changed in the law, just like a law firm does. They could, write about a case they worked on, and what was the result. And that, that would be good PR, I think. That's something that alumni would want to look at too, what the students are doing, what the clinics are doing. And so, you can't get enough PR nowadays. So that's another idea. And another thing is if your law reviews have forums or side publications, or people call it various things. But I know one of our journals does, and they just kind of put it on their website, and it's just kind of plunked in there, and it's not very good, but more like the blog format, I think, would be absolutely better for that. So, so I think that's kind of it for me. Any questions, comments, other things people are using Classcaster or blogs in general for that anyone wants to talk about? No? one wants to talk? Okay, okay. Elmer will talk, yay. Do I,
Flip the off switch.
okay. You want this then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get the adapter.
And,
I need to talk to whoever sets up this agenda, because this is too late in the day.
everyone's falling asleep.
Must be some crazy guy.
Someone must not like it.
You have a massive history right there.
So let's see, I'm going to send this over to.
Cindy Hirsch. Yeah, good luck with that. The question about Google Sites. I have yet to figure out how to create my own dates in
This
there.
one is,
It's unbelievable.
maybe the room's a little bit smaller than something. Sounds a little bit different. Okay. So, that also, don't start reading, I don't want to start reading Sue's slides.
What's it?
Well, your slides are still up over here.
Okay.
Yeah, don't forget to think of USB key.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'll know I'm a master's with Callie, and I'm going to talk about the theory part of Classcaster, but not actually, like, not really theory, because that's probably not like terribly exciting. But what I am going to do is we'll take a look at a couple of features that are in Classcaster now that you probably haven't heard about, partly because I haven't written the documentation for them yet. But they're still there, and they still work, and there's still some fun things going on. And part of what I'm working on this summer is actually getting some more of this documentation out. Because people are starting to ask me about things like, can Classcaster do X? And I can go, sure, it's already there. And, well, how do I do it? And I say, I'll get back to you in 2 days. And then I write up a little thing, and they're like, okay, so we get on with that. So just real quick, this is the sort of official what Classcaster is thing. So it's a podcasting and blogging network. You can create blogs easily. It has a lot of features. It's ready-made for podcasting, videos, and that sort of stuff. It was originally designed, the original idea was for podcasting, where you pick up a phone and you make a phone call and it records and posts to the blog. That feature still works. It's out there, you can do it. I demo it, but, well, we may get to that if we have time. I've demoed it a lot. It still works, it's still cool, people still use it. I've got a few faculty who still call up the phone and talk for 10 minutes 3 times a week. Pops up on their blog, and then away they go. They like that a lot. But there are a couple of cool things that have turned up lately in Classcaster that haven't gotten publicized a lot, that are kind of fun to use. One of them is a plugin called Hackadelic Sliding Notes, kind of unfortunate name for kind of a cool sort of thing. It sort of works like a pop-up. It lets you basically hide a section of text, and then you can sort of make it appear when somebody clicks on the link, a little box will open up. It's a matter of activating a couple of plugins in Classcaster, and then like copying some CSS from their website that gets everything going, so that you can actually see what they look like, and then use shortcodes. One of the things about WordPress, which is the platform that Classcaster is built on, is they have these things called shortcodes, which are kind of like, well, they're kind of like shortcuts for things. So, but we know how to do things with them. And I'll mention I just realized something. I forgot to include a slide for lesson view, embedding
That's
lessons.
why I thought that you were leading into this. That's
See, there's too much stuff, and there's not enough time, and all that. So anyway, so there's short codes that allow you to do interesting things, including embedding Cali lessons into your Classcaster posts. Something we're going to do in a minute. But the short code for the sliding notes is just something called slider, and it works out pretty well. But the sort of effect that you get. So the effect that you get from that, this is my little test blog, usually rolled out specifically for events like this. So one of the things I did was I went and I copied, I got a case, went and found a case in the Free Law Reporter, another fine Cali product. I copied and pasted it into a Classcaster post. And then I set about, I want to edit it, right? So I don't want the students to see everything. How many people here have seen the things that Patrick Wiseman has done with constitutional law? Yeah, I can do that in Classcaster.
What is it?
Well, he's edited by hand a bunch of con law cases where he's hidden parts of the case behind ellipses, and you click on the ellipses and it expands out parts that he's hidden. But the idea is that the parts that he leaves exposed is what he wants his students to concentrate on. But he still wants them to have the access to the full case. And so he does that by hand. We can do that with Classcaster a little bit more efficiently. There's a link right here that actually turns up on the TV monitors a little bit better. So what I did was I basically just hid the header of the case there with all the party information and stuff. And so it just sort of folds up and expands when you click on it. And it's pretty straightforward to do. We can edit. Where's my edit button? So in terms of how it actually looks when you're editing things, it's a matter of this line of code, or this short code right here that sort of sets up the slider. Inside that title space, you can actually put anything you want in there. So if you want to number the parts that you have out, or if you want to put a side note, maybe a definition of a term, you could put in there. There's a lot of different things that you could put in there, and then you have the text that you want to hide, and then you just use then sort of a closing tag at the end that closes it. And WordPress, when it displays the HTML, when it displays it on the web, will convert that into just that little ellipses that waits for somebody to click on it, and then it expands out. Okay, so then let's also say that let's say we're not interested in the background material. We can do the same thing. So we'll just say slider, title. I'm going to use the same sort of ellipses thing here. And then we'll go down to the end where we want it to collapse to. And we'll close that. There it goes. And then we will click on the update button. And go back to view post. So now we have that material is
Is this already built in, or we have to do something to put this functionality?
yeah, you just need to turn on the plugins. So that happens in the dashboard. and you would go to the list of plugins. And the good news is that by like the beginning of next week, now that I've written down all the instructions in a step-by-step fashion, I'll actually get the documentation up there, so you'll be able to do that. And you can actually, once the plugins are active, the plugins activated, then that works that way. And then also, let's take a quick look at the. I don't know how I forgot the lesson plugin. Okay, so we have another plugin that allows you to embed Cali lessons, and it is. Wait, am I missing it? Or maybe it's already there. How come I don't see it?
Did you network enable it? Did you network enable it?
I think it is network enabled, in which case it's not going to show up here.
And nobody has to turn it on. You just have to use
You
it.
don't have to turn it on, you just have to use it. Percent, of course, requires someone to remember. Because, now let's see, is it the node number? It is the node number. Let's see if there's a test post here. If I'm lucky, I tested it on this blog. If I didn't, I know what it is. Well, I didn't test it on this blog. But I did test it on the technical blog. I have probably too many blogs for my own good. Now, every time I need to test something, I tend to create another blog just so I can test it without, well, so it doesn't interfere with other things. And then I've now gotten in the habit of deleting the blogs when I'm done using them. I have not always been in that habit. And so some stuff is has kind of piled up on me a little bit. So we'll go in and we'll take a look. Oh, here we go. Some Cali lessons. So if we take a look at that, right? So there's a short codes. Those are short codes for Cali lessons. That basically just use the numeric code for the Cali lesson. You'll notice one that has a course number. This will also work with lesson link. So if you use lesson link to create trackable URLs, you can then insert them into your Classcaster blog, and you just add these 4 lines will give you a post that looks like this. So what it does is it pulls in all of the information from the Kali system through our API, the title, the description, the length of the lesson. There's a button to run the lesson. And then it also gives you the author information. Yes?
Is that something that is available through the WordPress repository, or would we need to get the plugin from you if we have self-hosted WordPress sites?
Yeah, if you have self-hosted web host sites, you can get the plugin from me.
Okay.
I've been thinking about it. It's on the list to put in the repository because it's really, well, actually anybody can get the information even right now, because you can always look at the descriptions of the lessons. You just can't run them if you don't here. So this is the one that's connected to lesson link. So it actually says run this lesson link, and it reminds you that your professor will have access to the results. So in that way, when they're when students are doing that, that'll turn up. Let me show you how, since we're here. let's just take a quick look at, because it actually turns up in Lesson Link. Let's see, because we've moved down to the summer. We do. Let's go take a look at this. Yes. So, the lesson view, the whole short code is actually now when you create lesson links, the whole short code turns up in that third column, and all you would need to do to include that in your blog would be to make a copy of the short code. And then remember what tab the blog is under. There we go. We can create a new post. Right, so we'll just call it the Cali lesson. And then we'll just paste that in. And then we will scroll down and hit publish. And we'll take a look at that. So then we get, ooh, I picked the long one too. Good. So right, so I pulled in all of that information, and it just puts all that in there. Okay, and again with the note that it's lesson link. When the as part of the update of the Cali website, there'll be like a button to sort of automatically send that to your Classcaster blog if we know about your Classcaster blogs. There's some technical stuff to work out there, but yeah, so that's another cool plugin that's floating around in there that you might not know about. There are a couple of other things that folks have been interested in recently with Classcaster, and those include there's a plugin called Comment Press that allows you to do paragraph level commenting on a particular page in the blog. I've got a couple of faculty members looking at using it as a way to get students to comment on various articles and stuff on case law. They're sort of experimenting with it. They're not sure if that's exactly what they want to do yet or anything like that. But that's available. It's actually a little bit more complex in that using Comment Press requires you to have a brand new blog. You can't add it to an existing blog. It also requires you to use a specific theme and plugin combination, so you're limited in how things look. There's some structural things about it that require you to sort of be locked in, so it isn't quite as customizable as other stuff. But it does work, and it's kind of neat. But it's one of those things that, like, I'm never quite sure, like, it sounds like a really good idea, but then, like, sort of getting people to do it and then figuring out how to, what the value of those comments are and sort of the way that they're displayed and stuff is actually hard to deal with. But some people are looking at that. There's another plugin that we have that's called Anthologize that can be added to an existing blog. It allows you to turn a set of posts or pages in your blog into an ebook. You can activate that and then go through a whole, I could spend an entire, the reason I'm not even going to show it is because I can spend an entire hour just sort of getting started with that. It's a little, it tends to be fairly complicated, but once you get it set up, it does work, but it requires you to sort of think about, you still have to build a structure of the book, you have to tag your post, you have to do some editing and stuff. But it's good for an existing, if you have an existing blog with a lot of stuff. So if you wanted to turn the Constitution blog into a book, into an EPUB or something like that, I think it generates PDF. I think that's, I think the PDF. And that'll, you know, you could do that. You could say, you know, do all of the, you know, I used to have my personal blog. I used to get all, like, once a day, this plugin would go and retrieve all of my tweets for the day and put them in a post. So when I was, I put this plug, I put Anthologize in there, and then I went and I told it, because I was tagging all, you know, all the posts from Twitter were tagged for Twitter, and so I said, you know, just use all the posts from with the tag Twitter, pulled them all in, and I had an ebook of like all of my tweets. And there's probably not anything worth less in the. I mean, it was just like when you look at all those, like, in, you know, one after another, man, you wonder what you're doing. So Anthologize is in there, and you can use that. There's let's see, I think that is about where I want to kind of leave. Oh, there's one thing. I have this. I found this plugin that is not in Classcaster, but it is on my blog. And yeah, because I test stuff out for work on my personal stuff. No, actually, I was actually looking for a way, because I've now spoken at many of these Cali conferences, and so I was looking for a way to sort of have all of my Cali presentations in a timeline sort of thing, so that there was a way to sort of display all these. So I found this really cool plugin for WordPress that basically allows you to insert media. And yes, that's me from, when was this? This is 1999. And that's actually the earliest video. My first presentation was in '94. But there's no video of that. So that was before there was video or something. But the cool thing about this is that it you know, it sets up this timeline, which you can then sort of pick through, and you get, that part doesn't work. There are a couple of things. That's not a video. That's supposed to be the slides, because there wasn't any video from that here, but the slides were on the conference site. So, but you can. You can sort of pick through these things, and I think 1999 was also the last year I actually wore a tie, and I think in this one, I think that was the beginning of the Hawaiian shirt phase. We retired the Hawaiian shirt phase, so just in case anybody's looking for those, that I made the decision, no more Hawaiian shirts. So, but the timeline's kind of cool, and I've seen some interesting sort of demos of it. The plugin was actually written by some folks at a junior college, and they use it in the history department to build history timelines. And I would imagine, like, I can imagine a timeline of civil rights cases, or something like that, that sort of pulls into this. Using this is not easy. It requires that you build a spreadsheet in Google Docs and make it shareable with the world, so that it can be read by this plugin. So it takes a little bit of effort. But I thought it was pretty good. I just wanted to sort of show a case. Yes, Sarah?
What's the name?
Dates along the bottom, how manipulable is that? Is it, do you only can do years, or can you put in something other than dates if you wanted, or?
I think it just does dates, but you can set the range. So if you've got something that runs over a day, you could set that range. And I was thinking about that, and well, it's an open source plugin, so because it'd be good to have something other than dates, like instead of a timeline, just sort of a sequence of things. Yeah. And the name. I hear somebody ask about the name of the plugin. Yeah, that's a trick question. The name of the plugin. Well, let's just take a look. me just log in real quick. I just call it that timeline plugin, but I know there's actually a name for it.
How hard would it be to change it into it? To be able, that's a really good idea. So that you could put a sequence at the bottom or a spectrum.
And be able to mix them too, so where you could have events, overlays.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked at the code that closely, so I can't actually say what it would take. But I mean, since it's in PHP, I can figure it out. I mean, it's not. So let's see. It's
And any plugins that are on the WordPress.org repository, they have no problem, especially when you're editing features, with you forking existing code and putting it back up there and sharing with other people.
yeah. This one though, it's so this is it right here. It's Verite Co. I don't know, timeline pass. They actually sell some commercial plugins. So this is like actually one of those WordPress. The thing about WordPress is that it's not always like, not everything's totally open source. But I think this one's good. But that's the name of the plugin. You know, it's
It looks like it might be a JavaScript too.
yeah. There's some JavaScript in there too. There's something about it. It's a little. Oh, wait, maybe that one wasn't it. No, that's got to be it. That's the only one that's active. Anyway, Twitter side,
Yeah, it is on the WordPress
Yep,
repository.
That's right, yeah. So that comment. So I thought about adding that in to Classcaster also. So I can come up with something interesting to do with it because it's kind of cool.
They asked for a suggested donation of $2.
Oh, it does have a suggestion? Well, actually, I have donated to a couple of these where we're making use of them in sort of, in a bigger way. We actually, there's one, there are a set of, let's see.
I'll tweet it.
There are a set of video tutorials in the dashboard that are just like little screencasts, a couple minutes long, that are always up to date. They come from a commercial service. We pay like an annual subscription. It gives us access to like a bunch of plugins and stuff, and these video tutorials. So yeah, sometimes with Classcaster we are buying some stuff that kind of, because it's good.
WPMU just upped their pricing
Yeah, I
structure
know.
quite a
I
bit,
bought
so-
into
We
the
did too.
lifetime. Yeah, because that's where they come from. Right, they were charging like, yeah. Tell me how the economics of this works, right? They're charging what, like $420 a year, which I didn't mind paying too much because I was using a ton of their stuff. Now they're shifting it to $99 a month, no more annual subscriptions.
Well, they're also about to release a massive theme thing, which
Oh, is
there's
that
a lot
right?
more competition among theme developers.
Oh.
So I think they're about to support a whole nother level of product.
Oh, okay.
But it sounds like it works for them.
I don't know, they're from like Australia or something, so it's not even real dollars. No, but they do a lot of good stuff if you're, and they're sort of the go-to for like a number of plugins, some of which sort of run in the background for us to help me manage all of this. Any questions? Everybody's still kind of awake.
What's the title of your post with your outline?
Oh, it's under, it's actually under, it's on the menu.
The Snazzy Archives or the Timeline Archives? Timeline Archives.
Yeah, it's under, no, it's not under archives, it's actually under about. I'm not really good with navigation. So I usually get help on that. So it's actually under about.
Got it.
Because the archives is another thing, I don't really want to, because I was like looking for like some kind of like, because like the thing, this blog goes all the way back to 2004 or something like that. There's almost 3,000 posts in here. And I was trying to figure out a way to sort of streamline looking at the archive. And that's not even the oldest blog. I've been blogging since October of 2000, folks.
Drop mic.
There's actually a, several years ago, I wrote a thing, because now we're done, and I know the tape's gonna run out, so I can just, people are free to leave if they want to. Does anybody have any questions? Before I totally digress.
Will you help me set up a Classcaster blog?
Sure. See what I do.
And I also highly recommend, if you're in an area and you really want to start playing with WordPress, WordCamps are kind of informal conferences that are usually locally organized and are pretty cheap. They try to make it be, like around $50 for a weekend or something like that. And they'll usually have a wide audience from bloggers to developers to theme designers. WordCamp, I put it out on Twitter too. I'm helping organize the one in Chicago, and I think it might be sold out, but they're really great. I'm Emily. I work in the library here, and I support our member.
Start telling me about me.
Oh, you're the social. I think the social. No,
It was very impressive. There was such a thing as a job.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you. Yeah, okay. Yes, I have that yet, but I'm not. Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Emily.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm
Would I just write down the information?
I'm just about to be here, and I'm kind of now.
Okay.
It's like, you ever feel like there's something, nothing, there is no system?
And that's, I'm learning
Okay,
about.
so here I am.
Okay. You guys have your calendar?
I'm learning.
I might do it someday, but I'm hosting WordPress now.
It's like just schools, so it's very
I mean, the library wants to invest in spots, integration with CMS, and we're really doing central location.
Right, what's the
Ingenious.
and you can, is it
That's what I was trying to do.
You stumbled on my
some of them are
block.
good and then some of
But
them
here's the thing.
I looked at a few different ones. It was like, it
The
was
way I
like,
got into this was
was
with that exact same thing.
So, we had kind of thought we might go to the library.
Oh, wonderful.
But
that's already well. It's supported by
Well,
that's not going to always care about.
exactly. And
So you're building all the stuff that you logically want to see
I should have found out because I was using the exact same login that I used to get into email. Because that's what I thought.
but
Oh,
also
gosh, there
check,
must be
and actually,
for the Classcaster.
we had some online exhibits, and I moved them from really basic HTML sites to being in here as like pages and media content, and this is actually getting the highest stuff because it was something that was put together. And I'm just thinking, oh, hey, we've got stuff like time
intrigued by that one too.
because it's right now it's just this kind of information. I should be able to get all that into a spreadsheet. Break it down. But we have constitutions and rights for pastors already has the same. So, I can kill this weekend. very interested in using that. He blogs for a general audience. He blogs about
So Elmer's paws off the idea, but honestly,
I was like, that's exactly because he was.
the chronology of the headlines in Owen's case is exactly what you need in like first year.
I guess would have been
I don't know if you saw their card game. So I left it up on my desk. But rather than giving out card CDs now, they want to give out this card game that's always on my flashcard kind of thing. Which came first.
Right.
Kind of thing. And he's looking at it, and I can see this really skeptical look on his face. He's all this stuff that's in it. Regardless of what's in it.
And it wasn't,
This verse before you
like, it's not like,
like
a library, but it almost had like the same reputation as organic character.
So unless they're, super, there's not going to be just the majority of your students. They're not going to know what to do with this.
Right.
And,
Well, thanks for helping me out there.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks,
It's
so.
part of why we try to scatter ourselves through here, because we
Yeah,
listen
yeah.
to the last minute.
Setting it
Don't
up
forget
and then,
your
yeah,
USB
the
though.
USB thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
But,
So that was.
I mean, it was just nice kind of, and this is like the
I'm
2011
just gonna,
or 2010 theme or something, I think. I don't think it's.
Okay.
But,
Well, that's right.
Pretty standard.
it's produced by Automatic.
And so from there, once you're logged in here, then you
It's
just.
after you've been running WordPress for a while, I was like, I should start to play with some of the new things. So like, the images link to the kind of like media type things
Right.
that allow me to put a whole lot of that descriptive text on there.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, we do have it on the website, and part because of that, we're using a lot of plugins for sort of site performance reasons and management reasons, and just given the
Because there's no need
there's a
to
lot of
create.
just the template is just doing a lot.
Yeah, and it's always nicer if you can.
Where you have something you can do.
Yeah, I feel like the more that you put it on the templates, the faster your site's going to run to. You can be sure that it's only going to that
Right,
page
exactly.
as opposed to the whole site. And it really helps too. We've got student work doing a lot more PHP. I've taken some things in PHP classes and stuff like that.
Really,
It's still much easier. Yeah, so we're able to have student workers develop
You gotta know.
Yeah, that's the thing, like,
Cheap to articulate or
I can-
something for you.
I can, exactly, I can read the codex
Yeah.
enough to put a template here and there, but in terms of when something goes wrong, can I troubleshoot it?
Right.
Sometimes, yes,
I didn't even bother
sometimes.
telling people because all of them were like more than.
But the ability to troubleshoot at least stages of stuff seems to me also sort of like.
Well, WordPress is just so good.
well, the ones I had.
Yeah, so those are sort of sequence.
All right, well then, it's our IT department.
Okay,
Okay, cool.
all right.
I'll play with it. Thank you, I appreciate it. I thought maybe I was missing something when I was getting logged out that way.
Also, maybe sometimes those computers, you hit the key and it does 2 characters instead of 1 or something. And
Especially this little, I mean, the only virtue this has is that it's small and light. That is all it has gone for. The screen broke on it and I actually paid to replace the screen. And now that I have it up and running again, I think, why did that bother? Maybe I'll contribute it to some child who doesn't know that you need to run that.
sure.
How are you, by the way? You're doing great stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm keeping busy.